Hi, Rio Grande third graders. It's time to check our DMA for our week 18, day 2. So let's go ahead and get started. This is a new type of problem that we've been looking at since last week. This is a 3-factor. So you actually have 3 factors here. We had just been working with 2 factors. And we had also used the distributive property to help us take apart one of these factors. But this is a little different. So we actually have 3 factors now. So to solve this or to figure this out, we're basically taking what we know about our first 2 factors, and then we're going to talk about what to do with the 3rd factor. So let's talk about what 3 groups of 5 is, or 3 rows of 5. So if I have 3 rows of 5, and I could do an array, here's my 3 rows, and this is going to tell me I have 5 in each row. So 5 in the first row, 5 in the second row, and 5 in the third row. Now, that 3 rows of 5 is telling us that now we're not just going to have 3 rows of 5 one time, which is 15. We're going to have it as 2 groups of 3 times 5. So now what we're doing is we're taking this array and we're taking 2 groups of it. So this is 3 times 5 once, and now we're going to do another 3 groups of 5 twice. So this is 3 groups of 5 2 times. So I'm drawing myself another 3 groups of 5, and this is 15. And now that I have another, I've done it twice because that's how many times I'm being asked to do this. Now I know that this is 15 and 15 twice, because 15 and 2 groups of 15 is going to give me 30. Now, another way to think about this is we could actually take what we know, and the reason that they're saying 2 times is because we can also take this idea, because remember, you can switch the factors around and the product will be the same. So if I were to take my 5 times 2 first, instead of doing 3 times 5, let's do 2 times 5, and we'll do that twice. 3 times. So let's think about this. I have 5 rows with 2 in each row. 5 rows with 2 in each row. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And there's 2 in each row. So that's my first equation. But now this is telling me I have 3 groups of this 5 times 2. If I have 3 groups of this 5 times 2, that's telling me that I don't just have to draw it 1 time. That's telling me I have to draw it 3 times. So I'm just going to show you what that looks like. Okay, so now I've done it twice. So that should be 30. So 5 times 2 once, 5 times 2 twice, and then I'm going to need another 5 times 2 again, 3 times. I'm going to have a little bit of issues with my room. Let's see, maybe I can, okay. So let's just pretend that this is 5 times 2 again. So I'm just going to say this is 5 times 2. So we have the purple is 5 groups of 2, Then we have another 5 groups of 2, that's twice. And now a third time of 5 times 2, that's 3 times. So I've done 5 times 2, 3 times. Once, twice, and 3 times. Each time I do another 5 times 2, that's going to give me 10 each time. So 5 times 2 is 10, but now I'm multiplying that 10 by 3. And 3 times 10 is 30, which is exactly what we got the first time, except this 15 and 15 twice is just going to make the array look a little different. So it doesn't matter, again, how you switch the factors around, the product will be the same. Okay, so now let's take a look at rounding each number to the nearest 10. So we're going to take each one of these numbers in our subtraction number sentence and we're going to round it to the closest 10 and then we're going to subtract. So remember, you have a multiples of 10 chart in your math notebook. Remember, there you have your math composition notebook. In that math composition notebook, you should have your multiples of 10. The first number we're wanting to round to the closest 10 is 765. So if we look for 765, it's not going to be on the chart, but we're going to be able to decide where it is. So 700 is right here. We're looking for 760. Here's 760, and thinking about where is 760, well, it's going to be between 760 and the next 10, which is 770. So the two 10s that this number falls between is 760 and 770. Now we need to decide which 10 is it closer to. Well, remember, when we're rounding to the closest 10, we look at the ones place and decide. If it's less than 5, we round down to the lower 10. If it's greater than 5 or 5, we round up to the next 10. So think about 765. Where is it in the middle of those two 10s? Well, if you guessed that it's right in the middle, you would be correct. It's 5 away from 60, but it's also 5 away from 70. So since it's right in the middle, the rule is we're going to round up to 770. So the closest 10 that 765 is closest to is 770. Now we're going to take a look at 323, and we're going to round it to the closest 10. This 20 is in my tens place. Remember, we're looking for 323, and the two 10s it's between. So let's go back. Here's 300. Here's 320. And we know that since this is 320, the next 10 that 323 is going to be between is 330. These are the two 10s that this number falls between. So I'm just going to real lightly put that in between those two 10s. Now we have to decide which 10 is it closest to. Let's look at our ones place. Is it less than 5 or greater than 5? Well, remember, 325 is going to be right in the middle. And since 323 is less than 325, you guessed it, we're going to round to 320. It's only 3 away from 320. It's 7 away from 330. So 320 is going to be our closest 10. So now that we have rounded each of these numbers to its closest 10, now we can go ahead and subtract. Now, we can take what we know about 770 and subtract 320. We can subtract here because we don't have any ones. There's 70 minus 20, and yes, we can subtract the 20 from the 70 because there are enough tens to subtract. So 7 tens minus 2 tens is going to give me 5 tens or 50, and 7 hundredths minus 3 hundredths is going to give me 4 hundredths. So my estimate is about 450. Now we could have done the same thing, taking what we know about each place value and subtracting it. So again, 700 minus 300 is 400. We have the 70 minus the 20 here, and again, that's still going to give us 50. Remember, we can always check our subtraction by using addition. Is 50 plus 20 going to give me 70? Well, 50 plus 110 would be 60, plus another 10 would give me 70. So yes, our subtraction works out when we check it using addition backwards. And then finally, we don't have any ones. So when we put 400, our hundreds and our tens back together, we get 450. Now, we should be able to use what we know about subtraction and see, is this actually, when we find the exact difference, is this going to be close to 450? It should be if we did our estimating or rounding correct. So let's take a look. I can subtract 3 from 5 because 5, and I take 3 away, that leaves me with 2. So there's no regrouping or borrowing needed. I can subtract the 20 from the 60 without having to borrow because there's enough to subtract 2 tens from the 6 tens, leaving me with 4 because 40 plus 20 is 60. And my 700 minus my 300 is going to leave me with 400. So is 442 close to 450? Yes. It's only 8 away. Again, we do not round the exact amount. We round our numbers first, and then we subtract. I'm going to repeat that again. We round first to what it's asking us to round to, then we subtract. We do not subtract the exact amount. We always round the numbers in the equation first. Okay, let's take a look at our multiplication equations here. I have 7 groups of 2 or 2 groups of 7. Now to me, it's easier to add 7 plus 7 than it is to count by 2's 7 groups of 2, 7 groups of 2. But either way, whatever is easier for you, if you want to count 7 groups of 2 or 2 groups of 7, it's still going to add up to be 14. So 7 plus 7 is 14. So 2 groups of 7 is 14. We have 6 groups of 8. Now remember, I can use what I know about my distributive property. And remember, if I have 6 rows with 8 objects in each row, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, I can use what I know about taking this array and breaking it up using the distributive property, because distribute means to make into smaller groups, kind of like division in a way, but we're going to take and separate our rows into 3 groups of 8 and 3 groups of 8. So this tells me I can do 3 groups of 8 and then another 3 groups of 8, which is still going to give me my 6 rows. Now, if you know that 3 times 8 is 24, then you know that this 3 times 8 is also going to be 24. And when you put these all back together again, your product is going to be 48. Or what you could do is you could think about 6 times 6, and we've been really working on 6 times 6, right? If I have 6 groups of 8, if I did 6 groups of 6 and then 6 groups of 2, that would also give me 36 plus 12. And when I add 36 plus 12, I would still get 36 plus 12 is still going to give me 48. So there's lots of different ways that you could think about this. It's just how you decide that you can think about it. All right, finally, 4 groups of 8 or 8 groups of 4. Again, you could draw an array. You could use repeated addition. You can skip count. 4, 8, 12, 16. So now I've gone 4 groups of 4. Add another group of 4. Now I'm at 20. 24. Now I'm at 6 groups. 7 groups of 4 would be 28. And finally, 8 groups of 4 is going to be 32. Or I could add 8 plus 8 plus 8 plus 8, which is going to give me the same thing as 4 groups of 8. And 8 plus 8 is 16, which is 2 times 8. And another 2 groups of 8 is also going to be 16. And when I take those 2 groups of 16, 6 and 6 makes 12. And 10 and 10 makes 20. And 20 and 12 is going to make 32. So again, several different ways to think about this, but there is always more than one strategy to help you solve the problem. Remember that multiplication is just repeated addition of the same amount in each group. So now let's take a look at our word problem. It says Jeremy uses 4 towels each time he washes his dad's car. So let's think about it this way. He washes his car, and when he washes the car, he's going to use 2 towels. So now it says he has washed his dad's car 2 times this month. How many towels did he use in all? So in all lets us know that we're looking for a total. And when we're looking for a total, this is telling us that we are using what operation? Right, we're using multiplication because we want to know all the towels. So we are looking at a bar diagram with 4 towels. He washed it 1 time, and he washed the car a 2nd time, and he used another 4 towels. And since he used 4 the first time he washed the car and another 4 towels the 2nd time he washed the car, now he's used 8 towels, and I don't want to confuse you here, 8 towels in all. So what is the multiplication fact to go with this? Well, I have 2 groups here, which is the 2 times that he washed the car, and he used 4 towels each time he washed. And so my total towels that he used is going to be 8 towels used for the 2 times he washed the car. So now I could go back and write an answer statement. So we could say Jeremy used 8 towels because if he washed the car 1 time, he used 4 towels. And if he washed the car a 2nd time, he used another 4 towels. And 4 towels and 4 more towels will give me 8 towels. So when you go to write that, you can actually use the back of your DMA, day 2, section here and write this out. So we're going to write Jeremy used, and I'm just going to zoom out here. Jeremy used 8 towels because, oops, I separated that because a little bit too much, because if he uses 4 towels each time he washes the car, he will have 4 towels and 4 towels that equals 8 towels. So remember, it's important for you to write out your response statements so that way you get plenty of practice learning how to take your strategies and write them out in your thinking. So we will talk about this during our whole group meeting. One of these problems is going to be our discussion question from our for our chat today in our whole group meeting. So there won't be a discussion question code word today. We're just going to talk about it in our whole group today. So see you in whole group and have a great day, guys.